A lot of people may or may not remember that that used to be the A's AAA affiliate. Now it's currently the Giants. But some of my absolute favorite times covering baseball, Sutter Health Park. It used to be called Rayleigh Field because when I was A's insider for CSN, now called NBC Sports, they would pay to send the Giants insider on the road, but they didn't want to pay to put the A's insider on the road. So what I would do is, since I wasn't going on the road, I would just go to Sacramento and I'd cover the top prospects or I'd cover the rehabbing players. And like my favorite times were down there, like meeting, guys like Dan Straley or Sean Doolittle for a week before he was in the pros, or like going down there and watching Yoenis Cespedes rehab with the River Cats, or Manny Ramirez, you may remember, was an A for like a minute.
That's
I don't think he never
right.
made
He
it
was
to the
there.
major leagues, but he
Oh
did play
shit.
for the River Cats. And I remember going
Hero,
down there
what's
to
his
cover
name?
Manny Ramirez.
Bro,
And
Hero
we
oh,
Nakajima?
here in
Nakajima? No,
Nakaj.
remember the Matt Land sign that
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
had one for that said Manny. Oh, we just replaced Matt with
Mannyland.
yeah. We brought
But
it
he
to.
never made it.
Oh yeah, I know,
He
but
never
I remember
made
we
it.
literally brought those signs to then Rayleigh Field, and yeah, that man, God, I forgot all about that.
My
Oh,
favorite story,
Casey.
though. Hold on, what's my
Sorry,
favorite
go ahead,
story?
go ahead.
Because I covered the River Cats, but I was the A's insider. So they would there. I was the only person they'd actually let me in the clubhouse and let behind the scenes. They wouldn't let any other media there do it. But I went back there one time and I saw Chris Biederman in a hallway. Shout out Chris Biederman, Sag B. Out of nowhere, Manny Ramirez comes screaming around the corner and just wraps us both up in this like huge bear hug and neither of us had
What?
even met him before. It was so funny. We're like, what is happening, man? He's manhandling us. But he was such a actually really funny, nice guy, and I just think that people never really got to experience him with the A's. It's kind of funny. Sorry, Jose, go
No,
ahead.
no. I was just gonna ask because you. I mean, this is about you. I want to know more. Like, where did you get your start at? And then because you said that you were in the CSN before then. Where were you at? How did you get you into the sporting world?
Yeah,
And
career
then
paths are
politics.
fun. Yeah. Now I'm there. Career paths are funny because I was a journalism major. I wanted to be a beat writer for the A's. That was like my goal in life. I wanted to be a writer, like I wanted to write for the paper about the A's. And then as I started getting through college, I started realizing like that maybe that wasn't the most lucrative path in life. I don't know. But I decided I wanted to learn broadcast too. And at the time I was at SF State, the journalism major and the broadcast major didn't interchange. Like if you took broadcast classes, it didn't count towards your degree. So I took classes on my own. And then I was like, you know what, maybe I'll just get an internship at a TV station so I could learn TV. And shout out Larry Beal, ABC7. He got me my first internship
Yeah.
there. And so I interned at ABC. This was like 2005, 2006. So it was around the time the A's got swept by the Tigers in the ALCS. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. No.
But that was like my first introduction to actually covering the A's. Like my first credential ever issued was issued in 2005 by the A's. It was like a blue piece of paper because it was so long ago. I still have it. But what's funny, what people don't know, is I was at SF State, still in college, interning at ABC, and then the weekend sports producer left. And I was the type of person where they had to kick me out every night. They'd have to force me to leave because I wanted to stay and learn and learn and learn. So that weekend sports producer actually taught me how to produce. And so they ended up hiring me as a weekend producer right out of my internship. And then the guy ahead of me left. So then I was running our sports department. I was still in college. And
Oh.
so I like raced to finish college, worked at ABC, and then they all told me it was like my job. I was going to be the staff guy. And then they brought in somebody else. And at that point, I said, peace out. At that time is right when they launched NBC Sports Bay Area in California. It was called CSN at the time. I was the very first person they interviewed. This is funny because Mindy Bach worked with me at ABC. She also worked at CSN. And when I didn't get the job, she told the president of CSN that he had to talk to me. She got me an interview. I got that job. We all started on the same day. Me and Brody Brazil started on the very same day together
Wow.
at CSN. And yeah, we worked there for 7 years together. And then I left to go back to ABC for the staff job that I should have had in the first place. And then I left there a couple months ago to work in the Oakland Mayor's office. That's the whole story.
Man.
Look at that.
Dude, I remember the first time I met you, Casey. It was so this is I wanted oh God,
Oh, I
it's
got
I
a good
wanna
Casey
say
story
it's
too.
2008, but this is when CSN was looking for commercials, just to hype up, like the fans for games and everything. And I remember, I forgot how they, I think they found us at in the
I know
bleachers.
what you're gonna say, and I cannot wait to
Yep.
tell you my response. Go ahead, keep going.
But then, so they recruited us for a commercial, and I remember we were just like walking the studio, like all decked out green and gold. I think the team was on the road. I can't remember like what. If
Yeah,
they're
it was. They
yeah,
were.
yeah, and we're just walking, and then I see this dude be like, he's like, it's the bleacher crew. I was like, who is this dude? And it was Casey. It was Casey, and then we got to just talking, and I don't know. Ever since then, I just always kicked it off, and I'll never forget. Barack Obama was in town doing like a speech or something in the city, and as we were leaving the studio, like all the streets were blocked off and all you like everything's like barricaded and we had our flags and our drums. And I remember Obama saying that he grew up at rooting for the A's, like he was an A's fan growing up. So we were yelling "Let's go Oakland" and like in downtown San Francisco with the flag and the drums and everything. And then I remember Casey, he was just like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know." And yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think we met Brody that day too, and there's some other people. But it was really cool just seeing like behind the scenes, and we took pictures behind the desk and everything. So yeah, that was a long time ago, and I know
I
that.
remember that day. I remember that day, and I'm going to tell you the funniest story about that day. So I'm pretty sure Mindy. I know Mindy was hosting. Shooty was probably on set if I remember correctly. But what was funny was that day Mindy had like a terrible migraine headache, and she was like soldiering through it. And then we just gleefully brought you all in with your drums, and you're all just like bird, bird, bird. And she's just like dying. Oh my god, it was so funny. And she handled it like a pro because she is a pro. But man, I felt so bad for her because nobody knew she had like a terrible headache that day. And we brought you all in to bang the drums on set, like in the show. It was so funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I remember that day clearly.
Yeah, we aren't the quietest group when you get us all together. So yeah, I didn't know
What
she
do
had
you
a.
mean? When we're tailgating, I mean, we don't drink that much. We're just like
Oh,
chilling.
no,
You know?
you're angels, little angels.
That's how I feel like it was on Twitter and we were discussing, I mean, this when the A's were trying to move, I mean, everything falls back to the A's. And I think when Twitter was actually kind of a little bit less horrendous how it is now. And I feel like we started kind of having a conversation about what was going on in Oakland and on Twitter. And then I think at that time Josh Donaldson was with the team, and every time he would hit a home run, I'd say, "Oh, it's time for a shot of JD." And I don't know how we're like, okay, we're gonna meet up and take a shot of Jack Daniels. That's how we met. And then it was at the parking lot, and I still have that bottle that said "Keep Days in Oakland." I don't remember this. And we both said like when the A's stay in Oakland, we're gonna drink this thing. I
That
still
was
got it.
our deal. That was our
Yeah,
deal. We
yeah.
were going to go take that thing to Howard Terminal. We were going to drink that Jack Daniels. But I think what's funny, and I used to always like kind of, I would come say hi or I'd run into you when I got to the ballpark, but I could never drink then. But I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, Jorge, I think it was the walk-off game in the ALDS against the Tigers. I had just stopped being A's insider. I went to the game kind of like incognito and just like sat in the third deck. But when they walked it off, I went out and found the tailgate, and I may have taken a shot with you then. But I remember hanging out with a bunch of A's fans that were like, "What, dude? You rolled through!" Like, because it was so crazy, and I actually wasn't working for once. But yeah, we did have a pact that we're going to take a shot of Jack together, or probably drink a whole bottle. When
Yeah.
the A's get a new stadium, we'll do it at that site, and it won't be in Vegas. Guarantee that.
Hell no, and it won't be in Sacramento.
Only in Oakland.
Man,
So
only in Oakland, baby.
so I
Yeah, that's
good.
sorry.
No, so like speaking of like just tailgating all that stuff, I know Casey, you spent many years covering the A's and covering the sports scene in the Bay Area. how hard was it knowing that you were going to show up to the Coliseum and you roll by and watch people tailgate? Because I know there's so many times where you would see us in the parking lot, be like, "What's up, Casey?" Like, come through. Like, no, I can't. I have to work. Like, all credentialed up when you're still like, how hard was it? I mean, I know it was a really good gig you had. I mean, anyone would trade places with you in an instant. But I know that there's some certain games where I knew that you probably would have been like, dude, I just want to just be in the
Oh, so like
and,
my own like issue was I was like when I actually finally made it to being an A's beat writer for CSN, like I accomplished my career goal and I was doing it, but I had to be the new guy on the beat. So I wanted to be there first. I was like the first one to get there. I was the last one to leave. I would see which players were coming and going. Like I would know if somebody got called up or sent down, or I'd see the lineup card before anybody else, or I'd see what pitcher was rehabbing and throwing at what distance. And like I got so much information no one else had just from being the first there and the last to leave. But you know, a lot of times I would drive through where the tailgate where I'd pop out and get like a deviled egg or something that somebody was cooking or barbecuing, or like they'd give it to me real quick and I'd go in. But I always wanted to be with you guys. But what was funny was, you know, like where the press box is positioned behind home, it looks out to the outfield. So I can't tell you how many times I'd look out to right field and just like smile because I'd like see you guys doing all your stuff and I'd be like, those are the guys right there. So I actually watched you guys a lot. It was funny is I obviously watched the game, but I would see what you guys are doing and I'd kind of live like vicariously through those moments.
And now we have kids that want to go to Roots games and our friends. Nina always remembering your daughters. It's crazy, dude. Like,
yeah, they love hanging out.
Yeah. Feels like that SpongeBob meme where I think it's like SpongeBob or Squidward looking out the window and everyone's having fun. But you're
yes, that's what it's like in the press box. That is absolutely.